The cyborg revolution has begun. I know it's fair to say that since the dawn of cell phones, the cyborg revolution probably already began. We became attached to these digital devices, which networked us all together. But now Elon Musk says his Neuralink startup has implanted a chip in its first human brain. That's right. A human being has been chipped with Neuralink. They are now wired in. He says that the first technology will be telepathy, allowing people to communicate very quickly. Now, I have questions about this, and of course, there are a lot of implications. I don't know that we can stop what's coming. I mean that sincerely, and it is quite worrisome, like dominoes falling over. Especially now with the AI race, no one is willing to back down. It's an arms race. We build nuclear weapons. We know what they're capable of. Everybody else wants to have them too. All of a sudden, now everybody's got their finger on the trigger, and the planet could be destroyed. The same thing with AI. We know what AI is capable of. We know how dangerous it will be. Yet everybody sits there saying, if I don't do it, someone else will. And so they decide, I would rather have the keys to this machine than someone else. And that's true. It's a fact. If Google stops, Microsoft or whoever else, they're going to make their own. If the U.S. bans AI and says, we can't do this, China will make it, Russia will make it, and they will use this powerful weapon against us. So, welcome to the dawn of a new era. One in which I think humanity may end up something like the Borg from Star Trek, networked in and broken-brained people. Well, let's talk about this. Let's read the story first. CNN reports, Elon Musk's controversial startup Neuralink has implanted a chip in a human brain for the first time, the billionaire said in a post on his X platform late Monday. Musk's announcement could mark an important milestone for Neuralink's efforts to usher potentially life-transforming technology out of the lab and into the real world. But he offered few details, and it's unclear from Musk's post how significant of a scientific advancement the implantation represents. The company had received approval to study the safety and functionality of its chip implant and surgical tools. Initial results show promising neuron spike detection, the world's richest man and Neuralink founder said on X, the social media platform he owns. Neuralink's first product would be called telepathy, he said in another post, adding that its initial users will be people who have lost the use of their limbs. Imagine if Stephen Hawking could communicate faster than a speed typist or auctioneer. That is the goal, he wrote. Whoa. All right. I got to be honest with you, my friends. To all the people out there who are paralyzed in some way, they probably shed a tear at this news. They are probably begging Elon Musk, help me. I don't blame him. It's kind of amazing. I mean, this is what Neuralink technology is currently working on. And it is very rudimentary at this stage, but it could be amazing. And I don't want to start off just by being absolutely negative on this technology. I think it's fair to say Elon Musk is going to perform one of the greatest feats in medical technology with the implementation of Neuralink and all the scientists that are working on it and engineers. There exists a man. I mean, I'll put it this way. I've seen so many videos. I watch action sports. Dude try to pull off, a front flip on a dirt bike. X Games, big air stuff. Crashes. Partially paralyzed from the waist down. He has some movement in his limbs, but he can't walk anymore. Elon Musk steps up and says, I have this device we've been working on. We can surgically implant it, reconnecting the nerves, and you can learn to walk again, and you can have your life back. There are prominent athletes that I've been a fan of my whole life who have suffered nerve damage or paralysis, and I wonder what they could do if given this technology. Where we start? Communication. Everybody's familiar with Stephen Hawking and how he would communicate. He had the robot, and it would say, hello, I am Professor Stephen Hawking. And it's funny because even though technology improved to the point where it didn't need to sound like that, Hawking apparently said, no, we'll keep it that way. The issue is that most people don't realize he would actually have to plan out over a long period of time what he was going to say and have pre-prepared responses for generic questions. So when you watch a video and you see him talking to people, they would ask a question and you would wait a long time. Imagine with Neuralink, Stephen Hawking could actually communicate in real time, despite the disability he suffered. Now, I do have questions about this, though, because could you imagine, how do you filter this? What is the mechanism by which you can control your brain perfectly to prevent intrusive thoughts or just your thoughts in general from leaking out? You see, we all think things sometimes like, that dude's a piece of ish. That dude's a effing prick. You know what I mean? But you don't say it because of, appropriate behavior in the workplace or something like that. Could you imagine? You got some guy and he's like suffering some injury. And you're like, we're going to give you a Neuralink so you can talk. And he's like, oh, thank God. And then he's sitting in the room and he thinks, hello, thank you for meeting me. And the computer says it. And then someone farts and he's like, wow, these people smell terrible. Who farted? What is going on? No, wait, I can't believe I just said that out loud. Stop saying things. La, 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 la. I can't stop thinking. Yeah. Because like, that's the joke in like sci-fi. Oh no, I thought that out loud. Wait, everyone can hear me. Oh no, start thinking about something different. I imagine that kind of might be where things go. I don't know. Neuralink has been working toward using implants to connect the human brain to a computer for half a decade. But the company faced scrutiny after a monkey died in 2022 during an attempt to get the animal to play Pong. In December of 2022, employees told Reuters the company was rushing to market, resulting in careless animal deaths and a federal investigation. I don't believe it for a second. I really don't. In May last year, Neuralink received FDA clearance for human clinical trials. And a few months later, the startup began recruiting patients with quadriplegia caused by cervical spinal cord injury or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS. The trial is part of what Neuralink is calling its PRIME study, short for Precise Robotically Implanted Brain-Computer Interface. Okay, that's PRIBC, sure, which aims to study the safety of its implant and surgical robot and test the functionality of its device, the company said in a September blog post about recruiting trial participants. Trial patients will have a chip surgically placed in the part of the brain that controls the intention to move. The chip, installed by a robot, will then record and send signals to an app, with the initial goal being to grant people the ability to control a computer cursor or keyboard using their thoughts alone. Right? We are not yet at the point where they would connect the nerves so you can walk again. That's what we all hope for. For the time being, if you're paralyzed, you can get a chip in your brain giving you digital control. It's kind of wild. You know, these people, powerful elites, they want to upload their brains to immortal bodies. I suppose that means they don't believe in the soul or that the soul can be implanted. Perhaps. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that I believe the soul can ever be properly moved. And it's because I believe the soul and what makes you you exists outside of the confines of your body. So the way I imagine it is that there is this extraplanar existence. And this is a really light explanation, but just to give you the general idea. And whatever makes you you is connected to this body, but you can't take it out because imagine there is like a long stem coming out of your brain. It's one way to explain it. Now, in reality, I view this connection as multidimensional, in which case it wouldn't actually be a stem, but, a ball of light or energy pulsing within you. It can't be moved because it doesn't exist in this plane. I think Christians believe something similar, but perhaps they believe it is possible, and perhaps it is. What do I know? I only have, I don't know. We don't know that much about the universe. Trial patients will have a chip in the brain. Neuralink did not respond for a comment. Before Neuralink brain implants at the broad market, they'll need regulatory approval. So I know right now, this is the challenge we face. A lot of people desperately want this to exist because they've suffered injuries, and this could improve their lives dramatically. People who are blind, people who are deaf, this can repair the damage and give people a better quality of life. What I fear with this, however, once we get read-write capabilities, and I think we're basically entering this position, I think we would be, 5 to 10 years out, maybe sooner. You know why? The data collected by Neuralink will be fed into an artificial intelligence. It will start recognizing patterns and finding things that a single human cannot see. Technology will rapidly escalate, rapidly develop beyond our wildest dreams. And with the advent of AI, we'll come to a point where we genuinely don't understand the technology we have. It took a long time. But every day, someone adds a grain of sand to the heap of technology. We stand atop the shoulders of giants to build new and better things. Someone discovers copper way back in the olden days. And then eventually someone figures out copper wire and someone figures out electricity. And from there, we all learn a little bit more. But with AI, you'll simply say, here's everything we know. The AI will then say, compiling. We've discovered that there's correlations between these elements and this element and this technology and that technology. And it can give you the schematics for building something. You have no idea how or why it works. You just build it and it works. Because the AI jumped several generations in technology. Yeah, we'd be building some kind of God. When you do that, you add in Neuralink technology. The AI will give you a whole bunch of simulations. It will easily develop technology for read-write capabilities to the brain. Once it has enough data on the brain and enough data on Neuralink, it can start to map out the appropriate ways to go about doing things. Of course, there will be trial and error, but it will be substantially faster than we could even realize. And then the reality is, I think most people plug in an instant, no matter what they think, no matter what they say. Now, of course, there'll be a lot of people who won't do it. Right. A lot of Christians, a lot of conservatives, a lot of Muslims, a lot of Jewish people. They're going to be like, no way, we're not doing this. We're not plugging into the machine. The Amish, of course, Mennonites. But I think the overwhelming majority of people just say, please plug me in. Why? Everything you've ever wanted and more. And it will destroy you. Because what'll happen is, I haven't had a slice of pizza in a while. I've eaten the cheese at the top of pizza, but I try to avoid eating the factory bread, garbage, and too much bread. I'm trying to increase the amount of protein I take in, right? But boy, do I love me a mean slice of pizza. So the average person would say, I'm on a diet. Plug me in, and they would eat 10 whole pizzas, just not stop, just shoving pizzas in their mouth. The dopamine, it'll shatter your brain. If we discover this, I mean, people are going to rot their brains from the inside out. And it's not just about pizza. I mean, obviously there's chocolate cake and there's white cheesecake, chocolate lava bombs. Woo! I saw one of those when I was in Miami. It's like cheesecake crusted in white chocolate with chocolate in the middle. And I'm like, man, dessert's good. But, those of us of willpower and exercise and, want to exercise and improve ourselves, we, sparingly. I've been trying to eat a lot more protein, a lot more raw meats, safe raw meats, cured meats, not too much salt, steak, medium rare, chicken, fish, because I don't get enough protein. So I'm also having protein powder and protein shakes to supplement. I'm not the kind of person that would probably want to plug into the Neuralink and eat a bunch of pizza, to be completely honest. But it's like in The Matrix when the guy's eating the steak and it's like, I know it's not real, but I don't care. It tastes good. I think the reality is porn. Yep. I think the reality is overwhelmingly people are going to go in for, it's a little extreme. I think that would be a component of it. But I think the overwhelming majority of people plug in for relationships. And I got to tell you, they want to talk about how guys are obsessed with sex and all this. I got a bigger bet for you. I would be willing to bet more than porn, men would simulate love for themselves. Of course, there's the trope. The guys are going to want to watch weird, creepy stuff. And some women would too, but mostly guys. Yeah, I'd be willing to bet more than that, seriously, that men will, there's going to be sex involved, but I'm willing to bet waifus. And not literally like anime women, but a lot of guys would do that. But I think most guys would plug into the Neuralink and then they'd go right for, they'd make a love interest, their ideal woman. She would be, depending on the guy. I don't think trad guys would do it. They're like, I don't want to be, some would. Some guys are going to fantasize about a 1950s wife. But I think most of it's going to be liberal guys. And they're going to have these perfect, busty, beautiful women who are smart and capable and say, I love you. And they're going to say, I can plug into this reality. Why would I want to be in the real world when I get everything? And they'll rot. They'll be plugged in the machine. They'll have their brains plugged in and their bodies will wither. And their brains will be dopamine blasted nonstop. They'll have cockroach goo tubes straight into their stomachs. And they'll say, why would I ever leave? Why would I leave? And I don't know, you'll get something weird like for every minute you're in the pod, you generate cryptocurrency, which funds your pod existence. Now, why would they do it? Useless eaters, they're referred to as. How do you get rid of all of these useless eaters? Well, there you go. Now, I don't think we need to even get conspiratorial. I think it's dominoes falling over. I think new video game comes out and it's a Neuralink game. Are you going to get the Neuralink? I think with AI technology, we go beyond implantation and we go into wireless technologies. Implantation seems to be, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think you may still need some wiring tech, but it could be that we come to a point in the future where a baby is born and the doctor says, so we need to do the implant within the first 2 hours. And then the kid grows up with the Neuralink implant. And I believe it will be wireless after that. So basically, you'll get a chip connected to your body that is charged through bioelectricity naturally. It doesn't need that much energy. It can receive electricity through the wireless node attached. And maybe you don't even need one. But imagine this. A small chip is implanted in the base of your brain when you're a baby. And there's upgrade periods, but they're long. And it's because this chip, it's very basic. All it has to be able to do is integrate with your central nervous system. And then there will be a small little device you just attach. You know, in the movies, it's always in the temple, maybe. I think it'd be in the base of the neck. And you just take it and you connect it, and it starts sending signals and electricity to the chip in your brain, which then starts to read write to your brain. And now you're in the Matrix. And you lay back and close your eyes, and now you're in your dream world. We're already almost there. With ChatGPT, with AI and all this stuff, it's getting pretty crazy. You can already get an AI companion in, I think, Skyrim, they've done it, where you can speak, and using ChatGPT, it will respond like a person. That's crazy. And then think about what you can do. You can get an app, and you can call on the app, and you can say, hey, what's going on? And you're calling into your video game where the character is, and the character will talk to you like a real person. I think this is, we got a dark future ahead of us, man. And it's all this AI, and Neuralink is a key component. Without Neuralink, we're already at the phase of digital AI girlfriends, and it's creepy. Guys are downloading these ChatGPT girlfriends because it makes them feel good. That's why I'm saying I think love more than sex. I think guys get horny all the time, sure. But what they really want is emotional satisfaction. Who doesn't? Women, the same thing. I think these guys are going to, you know what I think too, what's interesting is women and men have this, I think it's going to be very, very different. I think women are going to be less susceptible to this Neuralink stuff. The reason is women want to have babies. Men want to have babies too, but men don't literally make the babies within them. So the emotional satisfaction for a man can be falsely applied. And I don't know if it's 80% or 20%. Maybe it's 51-49. What I mean is you plug a woman into the Neuralink and she gets this loving man. And he says, I am everything you'll ever want. But she knows you can't give me a baby. For a guy, he can have that. A woman can't. I suppose they could give a woman the experience of being pregnant with the Neuralink for sure. And maybe that would be it. But I do think there's going to be an inversion here where guys are not going to feel the same drive for having a kid as the woman does. And I think women are the principal driver of families historically. And it's because women want to have kids, especially to a certain age, like something they want to do. Guys want to have kids too. I'm not saying they don't, but it's not the same biological imperative because guys can have kids up to the point that they die. A guy could be 70 years old and still have kids. So they never feel the same pressure to get pregnant and have kids. Maybe the Neuralink just satisfies that woman's desire. But I feel like anytime she exits the Neuralink, she's going to be like, no. Whereas a guy could be like, oh, whatever. Guy could be thinking, yeah, I'm 35, I'll have a kid whenever. I'm 40, I'll have a kid whenever. And they do that now. So it's going to get wild, man. I think guys will be the most susceptible to this, especially with the way things are going now in dating apps. It's going to be wild, man. Man, it's kind of depressing. But I have to think. Future generations won't care at all. You take a look at everything we do today. I mean, how about this gay marriage? Go back to the founding fathers and say, hey, good job, founding fathers. You will create a country that expands civil rights to the point where two men can get married and then have babies through surrogacy. And they're going to say, what? Yeah, we scientifically implant genetic material from a man into a woman. She gives birth to the baby, and the two men will raise that kid. And the founding fathers are going to they'd lose their minds. They could not ever imagine. Right now, we have this debate over surrogacy, but it is socially acceptable and publicly available. So we will come to a point where everyone's plugged into the Neuralink. They live in fake realities. They barely ever talk to each other. Why would you? And then sometimes they pop out and there's some argument. You shouldn't be Neuralink. Neuralink is banned. Get out of here. I like Neuralink. I'm sorry, dude. You know how prominent popular video games are? MMORPGs. I guarantee you, all these young men, hikikomori they call them in Japan, young men, incels, I guess they call them here, they're going to plug themselves into the digital world and they're going to make themselves not gods, because that's not a fun game to play. They're going to make themselves, I don't know, someone important, like an actor, but not gods. Some people would play in God mode. When you play these video games, you get console commands, they're called, where you can type in, basically whatever you want and then affect the game how you want. So in Fallout, for instance, you might play the game, but anybody playing on desktop can actually input debugging codes or whatever to generate items, to make characters appear or disappear, things like that. Games like that are only fun for so long. When you have the cheat codes, you're like, yeah, that was fun. Typically what you do is you play the game, you beat it, you do everything you want to do, and then you implement cheat codes and, explore the game in other ways. Most people would probably just plug themselves into some kind of reality where they could be successful and feel good and have love and challenges, and then isolate themselves from the world. I wonder. I really do. You, dear viewer, maybe one day you'll be lying on your deathbed, surrounded by your loved ones, your family, and you'll think to yourself, I led a good life. And your sons and your daughters will be there. Your loved one, your spouse will be there and will say, thank you for everything you've done. You've truly given us a good life. And you'll smile and you'll close your eyes for the last time, only to open them in your pod with a tube in your throat pumping cockroach into your belly. And you, my friend, were the incel the whole time, plugging yourself into the AI to give yourself a life where you felt loved. And it was all gone and all fake. And when you wake up from that game plugged into your pod and you immediately remember everything that you really are, and the whole life you lived starts to fade from your mind, you'll say, that was fun. I guess I'll go again. Plug yourself right back in. It's a crazy world that we live in. And I think that's where we're headed. Maybe we're already in it. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.